Hello, church. Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. It's Wednesday, September the 18th. I just wanted to take a second and check in with you and talk to you about this week's reading. I think just yesterday, wrapped up our reading of the book of Daniel. I hope that was encouraging to you. I'm sure portions of it were challenging to you. You know, Daniel, it's like the first few books we seem to connect with rather easily, and then we get into some of the prophecy, some of the end times references in the second part of Daniel, and we fight that temptation to maybe fast forward through that because it seems a little bit difficult for us. But I do hope that you persevered through that, and that your reading of Daniel helped you to think about the Lord's coming and what the earth will look like, what will be happening as we anticipate the return of our Savior Jesus Christ. And then today we jumped into the book of Ezra. I love the book of Ezra. I know a lot of you are probably fans of Nehemiah. We'll get to Nehemiah here in a few days. Ezra and Nehemiah were contemporaries. So we've read about the prophets and the Lord using the likes of Ezekiel to solemnly warn the Israelite people that unless they turned from their idolatry, they would face judgment and exile. And they didn't do that. So the Lord raised up the Babylonians, as we have discussed, under the leadership of a wicked emperor named Nebuchadnezzar. And he came in and just ransacked Israel. He destroyed the temple, destroyed the walls, and carried off many, many Israelite people in waves back to Babylon. Eventually the Babylonians were defeated by the Medes and the Persians. And so Ezra's story begins under the reign of this man named Cyrus. Around the year 538 BC, Ezra is allowed to return to Israel to rebuild the altar and the temple. Today we read through chapters 1 through 3, and we learn about the fact that that Ezra was just a faithful man. He was a priest, but he was a builder as well. And they construct the temple, they rebuild the temple, and then there's this great worship, this great rejoicing amongst many of the people. But I love this. There's this little inclusion at the end of chapter 3. I'm sorry, we've got somebody who's wanting some camera time. This inclusion at the end of chapter 3 about individuals who returned to the land who had seen the old temple with their own eyes, and they begin to weep. And so you may have asked yourself earlier, if you read the passage earlier today, why are they weeping? What's going on there? Well, I think that in that moment, they're remembering their lack of faithfulness. They're remembering their sin. They're remembering what they once had. And certainly they're probably also thinking about all of the difficulty and the suffering that they experienced in captivity. And they probably are weeping for joy over the fact that the Lord was faithful and saw fit to deliver them. But in all of that, the rejoicing and the weeping, the attention is focused and trained upon the Lord where it ought to be. And so I just hope and pray that this study of Ezra and in a few days, Nehemiah, that you'll be reminded of God's faithfulness, that you'll be reminded of the fact that He takes His holiness seriously, and that you and our church, that we'll do likewise. So I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I sauntered up here. This is one of my favorite spots here in the park, as I've talked to you about before. I brought my buddy with me, and I'll get out of the shadows here. You can see my face a little bit better. This is just a place that I enjoy. It's a place of solitude for me, a place where I can get away and pray. Typically like to come up here in the mornings when it's not quite so warm, but here I am. And I hope that you have a place like this, that you are able to carve out some time, if not every day, at least at some point during the week, to spend some quiet time with the Lord, just reflecting upon what He's doing in your life and giving Him praise and glory. Maybe just rending your heart, sharing with the Lord your struggles, and being rebuilt as a result of it. So God bless you. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Take care. Goodbye.